episode. For those of you watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, drop your comments down below, share the video with anyone that you think is interested. All that helps with the algorithms. And same for those listening on Spotify, Apple, or any of the podcasting platforms. Please follow, give us a 5-star review. All of that stuff helps us grow the podcast and get it out to more viewers and listeners. But let's move on to the weekend's games then. And we'll start off with the Arsenal game because it was obviously on Sunday, part of the Super Sunday doubleheader before that mad Tottenham-Chelsea game. But yeah, ended up 1-1 at Craven Cottage. Fulham, actually, I didn't think started that well. I thought you guys started quite brightly, but they kind of scored against the run of play. Unbelievable finish by Jimenez, I've got to say. I know Kibior was a bit slow to close him down, and Saliba also had to come running over to try and sort out that situation, but it was probably too far gone by then. But still, you wouldn't expect him to bang it in the bottom corner from where he was. It was an unbelievable finish, to be fair. The rest of that first half was pretty drab. I don't know if you'll disagree with that, John, but it wasn't the greatest
nothing
game.
else happened in that.
You guys weren't really stringing passes together. Fulham was also kind of sitting back a bit. But the second half, almost immediately, I think it was within the first 10 minutes at least, you guys were level. Enter, Spanish Pulis here from another corner. Second phase of play, I think it's Havertz who nods it down. Saliba's just played onside by Anthony Robinson's left leg, and he tucks it away to make it 1-1. And then you guys are probing, pushing. I think there weren't massive chances, but you were putting them under pressure. They were camped in their box, in their half. And then boom, Saka, I think it's in the last few minutes, thinks he's won it with a header at the back post from a Martinelli cross, only for it to be ruled out for an offside because Martinelli's just strayed offside very narrowly, according to VAR. So it ends 1-1. So I don't know. I'm going to ask you this first before we get into some of the other talking points about title hopes and stuff like this. But do you think this is 2 points dropped or 1 point gain based on the match?
2 points dropped. I mean, we dominated that game. I think like if you look at the stats, and I don't want to only focus on the stats, but like any other game like that, we end up winning, right? We had more of the ball. I think we had like 66% possession. Overall, we had like, I think a full 2 XG compared to their like 0.16. We had, I think, 3 big chances, all missed. Like, we talk about the first half. Within the first 4 minutes, we should have scored. I think Saliba glances one wide. We then have a couple of different chances where Leno comes out, punches the ball, or he saves a Saka attempt. They're not clear-cut chances, but they're like so many of them, you'd expect at the end you'd come out with something. And I think the goal that they scored against us, it's getting to be really annoying, right? Like when it happens once or twice, I'm like, okay. But it's one of those goals where it's like, it doesn't feel like you did anything necessarily wrong. Like there wasn't a major mistake. There wasn't like someone falling in their arms. There wasn't a terrible save from the keeper. It's nothing. It's just like that from the outside, that doesn't look like we did anything wrong. And someone's just taken advantage of a really good chance, right? Like even like yesterday, there's no Cucurella falling down or something else like that, right? None of that happened for our goals, and yet we continue to concede goals like this, right? I'm thinking of also, what was the goal? The first goal against West Ham, the Wan-Bissaka goal, right? It's not terrible from anyone, right? I've got questions around Trossard's positioning and so on. I've got questions around Raya and stuff, but it's a decent goal, right? They're pretty clinical. There's nothing we can do about it. And that one just felt the same way, right? The ball through from Kenny Tete, I think stupid positioning from Kiwior, getting wrong side of the player, allowing that space to be created. Saliba, I think, does most of what he should do right, which is closing down pretty quickly. He gets his arm behind his back. It's what he does most of the time. And most of the time he gets some sort of block on it. And then from Raya, like it was in the corner essentially, right? Like it was in the side netting. And it was from a position where I think Raya was kind of moving back, like he was kind of racing quite quickly backwards and then tried to set himself before the shot came through. And I think he just set himself a bit too late and then as a result dived a bit too late, but I can't crucify him for it. But it's just one of those goals. I'm just like, why do we keep conceding these types of goals? This is getting to be really annoying for me because, ideally as a defensive team in this day and age, it kind of just feels like you need to make sure you don't make any mistakes. And then you attacking wise just need to be really good. But it's getting to the point now where I'm thinking like, no, we don't. It's not that we just don't have to make any mistakes. We need to be structurally, systemically better than we are, so that they don't even get into the position where they can get, a 0.1 xg chance, right? Which is not a great chance, but a chance nonetheless. It's like we almost have to be perfect to stop all these chances. So I'm getting really annoyed about that, and I'm kind of like wondering, like last season when we were defending so well, is it just because we got 10 men behind the ball all the time and we were defending really compact and really like structurally sound and not giving away those kinds of spaces? Because I've now seen it a couple of times where like we don't have 10 men behind the ball and they do create space, and then we get like these kind of half chances that they take advantage of. So I'm kind of wondering, like, is there some sort of change that Arteta's made to his structure about how we set up defensively, or what that is making this happen, or is it injuries? What is it? But whatever it is, it's really annoying me. And obviously we get back in the game. I think it's another set piece goal, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, but it's using our strength again. And then at the end, I mean, I'm not even going to talk about all the chances we had in between that too, but we had plenty as well in between the Saliba goal and the disallowed kind of end goal when Martinelli was offside. But obviously from Martinelli, I don't want to be too harsh, but that's kind of poor, man. Like, I get that you're fast. I get that you're eager and stuff like this, but man, like, don't turn into our Darwin Núñez, right? Like, don't turn into one of them guys that's just going to be making clumsy decisions all the time, bro. Like, please stay on side. You're faster than most defenders anyway. You don't need to give yourself the perfect head start ahead of them. So that really annoyed me as well. But I think overall, to answer your question, I think we deserve, like, we should. I'm not going to say we deserve to win, because I think if we deserve it, we'd win. We should have won that game. And when I say should, I mean pointing at us. Like, we should have done more about that. We should have scored. We should have defended better to not allow their first goal in. But on balance, I come away from that game thinking we've lost 2 points because we had far too many chances to have only scored 1 goal.
Yeah. I mean, I get it completely. I mean, so yeah, from my perspective, man, firstly on, the goal conceded, I think it's just poor positional play, to be honest, man. I don't think it's like some massive error. And like you said, it's not something where you can, I guess, go and say, someone has to do better in terms of making a mistake. But I just do think there's been little cracks this season in your defense when it comes to positional play, and it can be tightened up. So I think both with this goal and the Wan-Bissaka goal, if you've got your left centre back or your right centre back, more concentrated, more aware of where they are on the pitch, I think they pick up Wan-Bissaka for the West Ham goal, and I think they definitely pick up Jimenez and at least make him have to shoot through bodies. Which, if that happens and it goes off, Kyrgios's left foot, or catches another deflection and goes in, you can feel the way you feel and feel like, what else can you do? But I think Kyrgios, he was very good against us in midweek, and I feel like overall he's an able deputy when Gabriel's not there. Even at left centre back, I think he's generally done okay. At left back, he's generally done okay. But I think in this case, he was just a bit sloppy, and he just wasn't concentrated, and it was one ball over the top, and he wasn't ready for it and prepared. But yeah, it happens, man. I think you guys were flawless pretty much last year defensively, and this year there's just been a slight drop off in terms of concentration at certain moments. But I don't think they're massive errors. I don't think you turn around and say, "Oh, this player's fault, that player's fault," and really, beat them with any kind of stick, because it's just slight, like, kind of taking your foot off the pedal when it comes to that defensive concentration. And I'm pretty sure you can get it back, but you do need to do it soon, because I mean, this Fulham game is a perfect example of maybe last season you would have won it 1-0, right? You would have scored 1 goal and that would have been enough. Your defense wouldn't have made slight positional mistakes, and you see it through. In terms of Martinelli, he lost his head, man, in that second half. I have to be honest. Like, he just seemed really frustrated very early on. Got called offside a few other times where 50-50s didn't go his way. I think there was that moment where he slammed the ball down. It just seemed like he kind of got annoyed, and then he wasn't able to reset and get his mind back focused. But I do think the offside one was harsh, like it's a millimeter or two, and he almost got it perfect. But I agree with you, he's so fast, he doesn't need to be playing that close to the line with it, right? He could give who's the right back, he could give Tete a head start and he's going to beat him in a foot race. So he doesn't necessarily need to be playing and skirting with the line
And
like
it's
that.
also
He
it's the
could he
like the
could have stayed on
85th
side.
minute. You know, it's the one of the last minute.
Yeah,
Like, don't lose because, or don't end up drawing and losing a big chance because you're offside. Like, this is where you
yeah.
have to play
Good
within
call.
the margins. Like, you have to play really comfortable. Make sure you're playing high margin football and try and break them down. It's not the time to just to be like running ahead and doing this, that, and the other. I get the eagerness, but come on, man. You've been in this team for long enough now. You've had 2 seasons now where we've kind of essentially bottled it from a leading position of some sort. Like, come on, do something better than that. It's not. Yeah, you've got to mature a bit faster.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And I think what makes it worse is he could see down the line, right? Like he can see
Yeah,
down the line. That's his line. He's got no real excuse to be offside, even if it is marginal. Um, and yeah, I get it. It's just because I think what's always going to have Martinelli at a disadvantage is the juxtaposition between him and Saka, right? Like Saka's just kicked on, and it's been so undeniable how he's been playing, and Martinelli has had growing pains, and I think it's understandable. But I think when you compare him with his counterpart on the other side, I get why you guys get frustrated from time to time. And I'm not talking about like people who call him Fartinelli and all the ridiculous stuff and don't rate him. I'm talking about the guys that really rate him, but get frustrated when he does stuff like this. I
mm.
hear it because you don't see it happen on the other side with Saka, right? Um, and you expect, and I understand why you expect the most from him because in that season when they both broke out and had that unbelievable season, you know, he created those expectations for himself. And unfortunately, he's just not been able to reach those levels consistently. And you need him. You need every single one of your attackers in these moments when you're going for a title. And now the expectations on. He's got to do better, man. I think it's really tight, and it's literally just like it's the fine margins. But he's got to get that. He's got to get that right, man. And if he does, you win the game, and the euphoria is there. And who knows, man? The momentum and everything that you've been building carries on going, right? But I know it's not a loss, but I can understand and agree with you. It is 2 points dropped, and we talked about it on other pods. You can't drop points before Liverpool. And I know Liverpool didn't play this week, so they could also drop points. But yeah, it's a blow. So let's go on to the last question before we go into the United game. Like some Arsenal fans are out here now. I know it's a weekly thing, but they're saying because of the reasons I just said, now Arsenal's title hopes are over. Do you agree with that? And do you think
I'm going to
it's
answer
you've
it the
just got
same
to
way
now
every
just keep
single
playing the
week.
game?
I'm going to say the same thing every week. It's a question of probability. We managed to claw it back a little bit because Liverpool technically did drop points first in their last game, um, last weekend or whenever it was. But we've now just dropped points again. So if they don't drop points against Everton, we're going to be back to where we started with, which was however many points behind. So from my point of view, we're just it gets slimmer and slimmer, right? And it's not been long since you last asked me this question. There's not a lot that has changed really in terms of the number of games left in the season. I still think it's a long season to go. I think our title hopes are extremely slim, but I don't think they're gone, right? Until it's mathematically impossible, it's not gone. My big hope is just that, we've got to get these injuries back again. Like we seem to get someone back and then immediately someone's gone again, right? And it's always seems to be not huge in numbers of players. So I'm not going to get my violins out and cry, but our most important player goes every single time. So we get Odegaard back. We realize he's him and Saka are the most important players in our offense, right? In our attack. We get him back, and then we lose one of our two most important players in the defense. And we've got to play Kiwior and flipping Party starting in the team next to Timber and Saliba. Like, it's mental. Just keep someone here. Fabianski, stop punching man in the head and let's get moving, right? Because this is it's annoying as hell. Like, can these lot just stay fit, please? I'm begging you. I know luck is mostly the thing that drives this. It's not our medical team or anything else, but just please God keep fit for the next however 20 22 games or whatever we've got left. Please, I'm begging you, because it's the only way we're going to have a chance. Liverpool's team is firing too well. This Chelsea team is firing well even yesterday as well. Like, we can't play like we're playing and hope that we're going to win it, right? Like, that's one thing I am clear of, is if we play like we're playing now, we're not winning the title. It's not mathematically impossible, but if we keep performing the way we're performing, we're not winning the title. So there needs to be a market improvement, as well as a Liverpool drop-off, a Chelsea drop-off. Those are the things that will allow us to win. And those things are still entirely possible, right? Chelsea are new to this kind of position this year. There's a chance that they drop off later in the season. They're going to have to be playing all these Conference League games. I know that they kind of have two teams, so that it probably won't affect them too much, but you've got to hope something will happen to them at some point. Same thing for Liverpool, right? So yeah, it's not over, but it's getting slimmer by the second, and we don't deserve to win it if we play like we're playing now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I forgot that Liverpool dropped points during the week. So they did drop points before you dropped the next set of points, I guess. So you are.
Yeah,
back,
we just gave it straight back to them,
back to where you were. Yeah, you're giving it straight back to them. But no, I get it, man. I get it. It's just that it seems like everyone's got their own, right? Obviously, like all fan bases, not everyone thinks the same, and a lot of Arsenal fans kind of basically were expecting you guys to have to be flawless in this run to Christmas before they could, justify still being in the title race. But I get it, man. It's long. We're not at the halfway stage yet. There's lots of games to play, lots of big games to play as well, where you can claw back points against teams above you. Right, you've still got to play Liverpool and Chelsea again. So there's opportunity for you to get back in it. But I do hear you though. There needs to be a bit more steel, I think, to get yourself these wins when you maybe have facing some adversity. And I think the Fulham one was an example where you just didn't quite get it across the line. And I agree with you. You did put in. It's not an effort thing, because I feel like you guys really did try your best to get that win. You just didn't get it over the line, right? And who knows? I guess with draws it's hard, isn't it? Because I feel like at the time they always feel like 2 points dropped when you're in a title race, but come the end of the season, who knows? Maybe the narrative will change and it'll be a point gained because you win by a point or you win on goal difference or whatever, right? And then all the draws are super important. But yeah, it's a tough one. It would have been very frustrating if that was my team watching that game.